film starts with Matthew, the main character of the movie. Matthew was narrating the story of the film. He had come to Paris for studies. Matthew was fond of watching movies, and he almost knew everything related to movies. One day in school, a protest was going on between the school administration and French students. Matthew met Isabelle there, and she said, "I see you here very often. You always remain lost in your thoughts and alone. You don't talk to anyone. Are you gay?" Matthew became angry. He somehow controlled his anger and said, "Actually, I have come from America for studies. I have no friends, neither do I know anyone here." Isabelle then made him meet her brother Theo. All three of them were fond of watching movies. Therefore, they bonded together quite quickly. As there was a meeting going on among these three, police arrived at the scene, and these three ran away from the scene. As they were going back home, three of them were seen talking about multiple topics. Matthew was very happy from the inside as he had found good friends, but he knew very little what would happen to him. Then Matthew wrote a letter to his mother in which he wrote her that he had made 2 new friends. The next day, when Matthew was sleeping, he got a call from Theo. He invited Matthew to a dinner at his place. At night, Matthew reached Theo's home. Upon reaching the home, Matthew noticed that the home was very big. He was astonished. Isabelle made him meet her mother. Isabelle's mother did not know that Matthew was also invited to the dinner, but she somehow managed to entertain him. Isabelle also made Matthew meet her father. His father is a French poet. He was sharing his wisdom and inspiration with Matthew's at the dinner, but Matthew was not listening to him. That's why he got angry at him and asked Matthew, "What are you thinking?" Matthew did not say anything, but as he forced Matthew, he said that, "I was observing the lighter on the table. There is a lot of similarity between this lighter and the piece of cloth on the table. Everything around us has similarities with other things." After listening to that, Isabelle's father got impressed and said, "I wish Theo were like you." Actually, Theo and his father were not on good terms with each other. Theo's mindset was completely political. He used to support rallies and protests. Theo's father had a subtle and polite nature. Therefore, he used to like calmness. That's why they both got into a verbal spat at the dinner table. Actually, Theo's parents mostly remain away from the house for work purposes, and both brother and sister used to stay at home. On that night, before leaving, they handed over a check to the brother and sister. After their parents had left, they asked Matthew to stay with them for a night. Isabelle kissed Matthews and said, "Either you are staying or not." Matthew started to have butterflies in his stomach, and he decided to stay. At night, as he was returning after peeing, Matthew opened the door of Theo's room. He could not believe what he saw. Theo was sleeping with his sister. Matthew was astonished and returned to his room and slept. The next morning, Isabelle pulled Matthew's blanket as she tried waking him up. Matthew was only wearing his underwear. He inquired with shyness, "Who wakes anyone up like this?" She said, "I wake Theo up like this." Matthew was finding all this very strange. Then she took Matthew with her to the bathroom. As he was brushing his teeth, Isabelle noticed Matthew's red lips. She said that, "I like your baby lips a lot." She started putting lipstick on his lips. But Matthew tried to get away from there respectfully. Meanwhile, Theo arrived there and he started taking a bath in front of them. Theo said to Matthew that their parents would return after a month. "You may stay with us by then." Matthew said that, "Our friendship is only 2 days old. You don't know me completely." Theo replied, "That is why I am asking you to stay, so we can get to know you properly." Matthew asked Isabelle, "Won't you have any issue with it?" Isabelle said that, "It is my idea." Matthew made a plan to stay with them. One day, they were playing a game, and both siblings were trying to enact scenes from an old film. Matthew had to guess, this scene belongs to which movie. Suppose he couldn't guess that, he would have to do a dare. Isabelle did a scene from a very old movie, but Matthew was up to the task. He had quite extensive knowledge about films. He guessed the name of the movie. Theo and Isabelle got very impressed by it. They said, "We were looking for a friend like you." Both wanted to do a scene from an old movie. In that scene, 3 friends were having a race in an art gallery. They wanted to do this in real life. After hearing that, Matthew got afraid of getting caught. He believed that if he got caught, he would have to pack his bags and return to America. But Matthew finally agreed to be a part of the plan as both of them were insisting. Then all 3 of them participate in a race at an art gallery. They compete that as well. After that, their friendship deepens up. Both siblings said to him that, "You are one of us now." As they were returning home, it started raining. All 3 of them got drenched. Upon returning home, Theo gave some of his clothes to Matthew to wear. When Theo went to get a drink, Matthew found some pictures in Theo's cupboard. One of them was Isabelle's picture. Matthew hid it in his underwear. All three of them again started playing the same game going into the room. Once again, Isabelle was enacting a scene from a movie, but this time, Theo wasn't able to tell the name of the movie. She gave Theo a dare. She gave him a picture and asked him to masturbate. Theo started jerking without saying anything. The next day, Theo took Matthew to a bar. Matthew said to him that I have 2 elder sisters. They don't ask him to masturbate in front of them. I have seen both of you sleeping together naked. Would you tell me what's cooking between you 2 siblings? Theo said that we are twins. When we were born, we were together. We too have different bodies, but we think alike. Again, on another day, they were playing the same game. Theo was trying to reenact a scene from a movie. Isabelle and Matthew both could not figure that out. Then Theo gave them a dare. He asked them to have sex in front of him. Matthew got tensed after listening to this. He asked them not to involve him in all this. On the other hand, Isabelle started removing her clothes without any hesitation. Matthew tried running away from the scene, but Theo caught him. Isabelle started removing his clothes. Isabelle found her picture in his underwear. Both siblings started laughing seeing that. After that, both of them started having sex. As it was happening, we came to know that Isabelle was a virgin. Nothing had happened between her and Theo, they just used to sleep together. Theo was enjoying all of this. After this, both of them started to have sex multiple times. One day after getting intimate with her, Matthew asked Isabelle, if your parents come to know about it, what will you do? Isabelle said, that day would not come. If it does, I will suicide. She does not want society to know about her relationship with Theo. Matthew felt angry and went to get something to eat. As he returned, he found out that Theo was sleeping with Isabelle. Matthew said, you 2 are so close to each other. Even then, you have made me a part of your family. Theo made this thing clear that he and Isabelle are one entity. No one could come between them. Matthew was only a good friend to them. Matthew felt very strange listening to that, but he did not say anything to them. Theo was feeling jealous as he was witnessing a romance between Matthew and Isabelle. One day, all 3 of them were taking a bath. All of a sudden, Matthew and Theo got into an altercation. Theo said that Americans are very bad. They are fighting a war in Vietnam. They are killing children and farmers. That's why he blames all Americans. Matthew said that our soldiers do what they have been ordered by the president. If someone doesn't listen to him, the person is sent to jail. That's why he came to Paris to complete his studies. Isabelle made them stop the discussion. Then she said to Matthews, you have said you love both of us. Do you have proof of it? She said that Theo and I want to shave your pubes. After listening to that, Matthew got angry and said, what you 2 do is wrong. You 2 have got the body of an adult but the brain of a child. You 2 sleep together naked. Take a bath together just like children do. You 2 won't mature like this. Then he turned to Isabelle and said, you know nothing. Did you ever have a boyfriend? Have you ever gone on a date with a boy? You do what Theo asks you to do. This hits Isabelle like an arrow. She said, I have never gone out with someone other than Theo. Then Matthew took her for a date where both had dinner. They returned home after watching a movie. Upon reaching home, they noticed that Theo was enjoying himself with a girl. Isabelle became upset seeing that, as she started feeling jealous. She was crying endlessly. In the next scene, we see that Theo and Matthew are again having a debate related to some political issue. Matthew said to him that you only talk big. You practically don't participate in any protest. If you keep on doing this, nothing will happen. You have to do something on your own. After a while, Isabelle came there. She took them inside a tent. When the 2 siblings were younger, they used to sleep in a tent. All 3 of them sleep naked in the tent. In the morning, when their parents arrived, they were surprised to see them in such a condition. They didn't wake them up. They wrote a check and left. In the morning, when Isabelle woke up late, she found the check. She understood that their parents knew the reality. She felt the guilt from inside. She thought that she wouldn't be able to face her parents again. She went to the kitchen, leaked gas so that the whole house would catch fire, and came back to sleep in the tent with Theo and Matthew. At that time, there was a fight going on outside. Meanwhile, a stone broke the glass and fell on the floor. Theo and Matthew woke up. They inquired what type of smell it was. Isabelle replied, nothing. It is just the tear gas. All 3 of them went outside and became a part of the protest. They started throwing stones at the police. People in the protest were planning to make a bomb. Theo joined them. Matthew tried stopping him, but Theo was an enthusiast. He and his sister continued the protest. Matthew realized that they would not change by his teachings related to the importance of love. He will not become one of them. So he ran away from there. Police step forward to beat the crowd, and the movie ends here.